She arrived as a mail-order bride. Before leaving town, the cowboy said, "She's mine." The icy moon stretched endlessly, its frozen plains dotted with strange formations of methane ice. The settlement she was headed for, New Horizon Outpost, looked like a small jewel against the harsh wilderness. Tiny clusters of domes and towers shimmered in the dim sunlight, promising life in a place where life should not exist. She shifted in her seat and smoothed her simple jacket. Being a mail-order bride in the 24th century was not like the stories in old Earth books. The program that brought her here, Celestial Match, was designed for remote colonies. Men and women from across the solar system could request companions, and the program matched personalities, skills, and future plans. Lena's heart still fluttered. She did not know the man she would marry, not really. But she had promised herself that she would make the best of it. She was a terraform engineer, and even if her husband didn't appear as the perfect partner, she could make herself useful in the colony. She was practical, careful, and brave enough to face the unknown. The shuttle shuddered as it passed through a layer of thick atmosphere. Small vibrations ran through the cabin, but the automated system adjusted immediately. The pilot's voice, calm and metallic, announced, "Landing sequence initiated. Prepare for arrival at New Horizon Outpost." Lena tightened her grip on the armrest and tried to steady her nerves. She looked at the other passengers, a few other newcomers, all quiet, all staring through the windows as the colony grew closer. They had been traveling for weeks, and everyone had a sense of awe mixed with nervousness. Some of them clutched small personal items, a photo, a music chip, a small toy. Lena only had her toolkit and a backpack. She liked to keep things simple. As the shuttle's landing gear touched down with a soft hiss, a figure moved outside the dome. He stood tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a brown leather-like suit and a wide-brimmed helmet. At first, Lena thought he might be a worker or security personnel, but something about the way he leaned against the side of a hover bike, watching the shuttle, felt different. He looked confident, calm, and somehow untouchable in a place where untouchable was rare. The hatch opened with a soft whir, and the passengers stepped out into the artificial gravity of the landing pad. Lena breathed in the recycled air, scented faintly of minerals and machinery. The cold, faintly sulphurous wind swept across the pad, making her hair whip against her face. She zipped her jacket and smiled nervously. The settlement was alive with movement. Small droids zipped across the ground, carrying cargo and maintenance tools. People in various suits moved with purpose, shouting instructions or waving at arrivals. And then she saw him again, the man from outside. He walked toward the shuttle, but not like anyone else. He didn't hurry. He didn't rush. His boots crunched over the ice with a rhythm that seemed to match the beating of her own heart. He stopped a few meters away, tipping his helmet slightly as he observed her. Their eyes met, or at least, as much as one could meet eyes through a visor. But Lena felt a strange sense of recognition, like he already knew she could handle herself. The shuttle attendant came to escort the passengers, giving polite instructions about housing assignments and orientation. Lena followed the group, but her gaze kept drifting back to the man. The wind tugged at her coat, and she felt the raw energy of the frontier in every gust. There was something untamed here, something human and alive, despite the cold and alien environment. "Excuse me, miss," the attendant said, her voice polite. "Your quarters are in Dome 7. You'll find everything ready. Meals, utilities, and work assignments will follow shortly." Lena nodded and adjusted her backpack. Dome 7 was a small, round building connected to a network of similar structures by insulated corridors. Inside, it was warm, bright, and strangely cozy. Her room was simple but functional: a bed, a desk, a small kitchenette, and a storage unit for her tools and equipment. She unpacked a few things, placing them carefully on the desk. Everything was sterile, but there was potential. After a while, curiosity got the better of her. Lena stepped outside the dome, ignoring the polite warnings of settlement maps and safety signs. She wanted to see the colony for herself. The wind tugged at her suit, and the faint orange light made the ice formations glow like strange sculptures. She walked along the paths that connected the domes, marveling at the ingenuity of humans who could survive here. And then she heard the soft hum of an engine behind her. Turning, she saw him again, the man she had noticed at the landing pad. This time he was on a hover bike gliding smoothly across the icy terrain. He stopped near her, pulling off his helmet. His hair was dark and unruly, eyes sharp and alive. "New here?" he asked, his voice low but friendly. Lena hesitated. "Yes," she said, finally meeting his gaze. "I just arrived." He studied her for a moment as if measuring her strength, her confidence, and her curiosity. "Name S. Tyler Kane," he said. "I help out around here. Salvage, repairs, whatever needs doing." "I'm Lena Marquez," she replied. "I'll be working as a terraform engineer, trying to help this place breathe." Tyler nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Terraform engineer, huh? Sounds fancy. You'll fit in well. This place, it's tricky. Not everyone survives here. But you seem capable." Lena felt a spark of pride, mixed with nervousness. She wasn't used to compliments from strangers, especially strangers who looked like they had seen 1,000 dangers and come out smiling. "Do you always greet newcomers?" she asked cautiously, trying to keep the conversation light. Tyler chuckled. "Not always. Just the ones who look like they might actually enjoy being here. Most people, they get scared, give up. Not you." Lena smiled. She wanted to say more, but the wind shifted, and a faint shimmer of light caught her attention on the horizon. She squinted. Tiny vehicles moved along the ice cliffs, carrying supplies and tools for the colony. Humans, working. Fighting against a world that didn't want them to exist. Tyler noticed her gaze. "It's beautiful, isn't it? Harsh, cold, but alive. You get used to it." "I can see why," Lena said softly. "It feels real." For a few minutes, they walked along the icy path together, talking about small things. The colony, the landscape, the odd habits of settlers. But Lena could feel something else growing, a sense of curiosity, and perhaps the faint stirrings of connection. She didn't know this man, not fully, but she could sense that he was important in a way she couldn't yet define. Eventually, Tyler stopped near a small ridge. He looked out over the colony, then back at her. "You'll want to learn the paths," he said. "Learn where to find the tools, where to rest, where to stay safe. It's not Earth. Out here, even small mistakes can slow you down." "I can handle mistakes," Lena replied, her tone calm but firm. Tyler raised an eyebrow, impressed. "Good, you'll need that attitude." A faint alarm sounded in the distance. Not dangerous, just a routine notification, but it reminded Lena that life on Titan was unpredictable. One had to stay alert, stay aware. She glanced at Tyler again. He seemed to embody everything necessary to survive here: skill, calm, adaptability. And maybe, just maybe, he would teach her things no one else could. The sun dipped lower behind Titan's clouds, turning the sky into a blend of copper and bronze. Lena and Tyler stood silently for a moment, two humans against an alien world, feeling the strange pulse of life in a place that seemed impossible. Finally, Tyler broke the silence. "Come on, I'll show you the settlement's workshop. You'll need supplies and maybe a guide for the first few days." Lena followed, her heart light but her mind alert. She didn't know what awaited her in this colony or in her strange new life. But as she walked beside Tyler Kane, she felt a quiet certainty. She had arrived where she belonged, at the edge of the frontier, ready to face whatever came next. And for the first time, she wondered if this mail-order-bride journey might turn into something far more than she had ever imagined. The morning light filtered through the translucent walls of Dome 7, casting a pale orange glow across Lena Marquez's small room. Outside, the soft hum of generators and distant chatter of settlers reminded her that life on Titan was always moving, always alive. Lena stretched and slid out of bed, careful not to make noise. She wanted to explore before the day's orientation meeting. The first few days had been overwhelming. The shuttle ride, the landing, the curious glances of other settlers, it was all still fresh in her mind. Yet she felt a strange thrill at being here. This world was harsh, yes, but full of possibilities. She was far from Earth, far from anyone she had known, and for the first time in years she felt truly free to define herself. She dressed in a simple jumpsuit, zipped it up tightly, and stepped out of her room. The dome's corridor was quiet, save for a few early risers carrying small containers of supplies. The air had a faint metallic tang, and every breath reminded her that this place was artificial yet alive. She followed the signs to the main hub, a circular building that served as the heart of the settlement. Inside, settlers moved with purpose. Engineers checked screens, droids transported small cargo, and others held tools or data pads, discussing projects quietly. Lena's eyes wandered to the center of the hub, where a small gathering was forming around a projection table. Maps of Titan's ice cliffs, supply routes, and domes glowed under the dim light. She recognized Tyler Kane immediately, leaning casually against the table, chatting with two other settlers. "Morning, Lena," Tyler said as he noticed her. His voice carried the calm confidence she had noticed before. "Ready for your first tour?" "I think so," Lena replied with a small smile. She felt a little nervous but excited. The tour began with the basics: shelter, water recycling systems, power sources, and communication units. The settlement was impressive, a network of domes, walkways, and machinery designed to keep humans alive on a world that was not meant for life. Lena listened carefully, asking questions, taking mental notes. Tyler followed her quietly, occasionally pointing out shortcuts, clever tricks, or safety tips that the orientation leaders didn't mention. "You'll want to know this," he said, stopping at a junction. "Wind gusts can push you off balance. The ice is slippery in spots. And sometimes the droids act up. Just a little patience and observation and you'll be fine." Lena nodded, absorbing the information. She appreciated the practical guidance. Books and simulations were one thing, but someone who had actually lived here was another. Tyler had experience, instincts that came from survival. She felt a flicker of admiration and something else she didn't quite name. After the tour, Lena returned to Dome 7 to unpack her tools. She wanted to familiarize herself with her equipment, ready to start her work. Terraforming on Titan was not simple. The moon's atmosphere was thin, toxic, and frozen. Generators, air purifiers, and experimental soil processors were her responsibility. She spent hours examining the instruments, noting their efficiency and tweaking them slightly to improve function. By mid-afternoon, Tyler knocked gently on her door. "Got a moment?" he asked. "Of course," Lena said, following him outside. He led her toward a nearby ridge overlooking a partially frozen river of liquid methane. The wind was brisk, tugging at their suits, but it carried a strange energy. Tyler set down a small device, a handheld scanner, and gestured for Lena to look. "See that?" he said. "The ice formations are shifting faster than expected. Some of the older domes could be at risk if we don't monitor it." Lena leaned over the scanner, her engineer's mind analyzing the data. "We could reinforce the foundations," she suggested. "Maybe build temporary supports along the ridges. It won't stop the shifts completely, but it could reduce damage." Tyler's eyes lit up. "Exactly what I was thinking. And if we combine that with some drone monitoring, we can predict weak spots before they become dangerous." Lena smiled. Working with Tyler was natural. He wasn't commanding or dismissive. He shared ideas, encouraged hers, and let her take the lead where her skills mattered. Over the next few hours, they walked along the ridge, inspecting the ice formations and noting areas that needed attention. The work was physically demanding but rewarding. Every step reminded Lena of human determination. Here they were, humans, thriving on a world that seemed impossible. Each dome, each device, each carefully monitored path was a testament to human ingenuity. As they paused to rest, Lena watched the horizon. A faint shimmer appeared in the distance like a ripple across the frozen landscape. She squinted. "What is that?" she asked. Tyler shook his head. "Probably just shifting ice. Sometimes the sunlight hits it weird, makes it look like it's moving." But Lena wasn't so sure. She made a mental note to check it later. In the meantime, Tyler led her back to the hub, explaining small tricks for navigating the settlement. He showed her how to handle the droids, how to calibrate tools, and even a few shortcuts through the corridors. Over dinner, the hub buzzed with conversation. Settlers exchanged news, discussed projects, and shared stories of Earth or Mars or other colonies. Lena felt a little out of place at first, but Tyler made introductions. "This is Lena," he said casually. "Terraform engineer recently arrived. She's smart and quick. I'd keep an eye on her if I were you." People smiled and nodded. Some offered advice, others shared helpful tips about life on Titan. Lena listened, absorbed, and even laughed at the occasional joke. She realized that humans, no matter the world, found ways to connect, to support each other, and to thrive. After dinner, Lena returned to Dome 7. She felt a quiet satisfaction. Her first day had been a mix of awe, learning, and human connection. She unpacked a small notebook and began jotting down observations. Ice shifts, generator efficiency, possible improvements for air purifiers. Each note reminded her why she had chosen this path, to help humans survive in a place that should not sustain life. The next morning, she awoke to an unexpected challenge. A minor malfunction had occurred in one of the generators near Dome 5. The warning lights blinked softly, and a small droid scuttled back and forth, trying to correct the issue. Lena grabbed her toolkit and headed out. When she arrived, she found Tyler already at work, kneeling beside the generator and examining the circuits. "I saw the alert," Lena said. "Mind if I help?" Tyler looked up, a small grin on his face. "I was hoping you'd say that. It's tricky but not impossible." Together, they worked to fix the generator. Lena suggested recalibrating the cooling unit to prevent further overheating, while Tyler adjusted the power distribution. Step by step, they worked, sharing observations and ideas. Within an hour, the generator hummed smoothly, warning lights gone, droid signaling completion. "You're good," Tyler said, brushing soot from his gloves. "Better than I expected." "You're not so bad yourself," Lena replied, smiling. "You notice the little things, the details." Tyler laughed softly. "We make a good team. Maybe I should let you come along on more generator checks." Lena chuckled. "I might take you up on that." The success of fixing the generator spread quickly through the settlement. Other settlers smiled at Lena as she passed, acknowledging her contribution. She felt a sense of pride, not because she wanted praise, but because humans here were surviving together, helping each other face a world that refused to bend to them. As the day ended, Lena and Tyler walked along the ridge again. The sky was a mix of copper and pale blue, the icy cliffs glowing in the fading light. Silence stretched between them, comfortable and unspoken. "You handled that well," Tyler said finally. "Most people would have panicked, you didn't." "I guess I just like solving problems," Lena said. "Even if it's not easy." Tyler smiled, and for a moment, Lena thought she saw a flicker of admiration in his eyes. "You'll fit in well here. People will respect that." Lena looked out at the settlement below, at the domes, the lights, the paths carefully carved across the ice. She felt a deep sense of belonging. For the first time, she realized that being a Maylorder bride wasn't her defining feature. She was Lena Marquez, terraform engineer, problem solver, human thriving on Titan. And maybe, just maybe, Tyler Kane was someone she could trust, someone who saw her for her abilities, not her status. The night settled over the colony, calm and serene. Lena returned to Dome 7, feeling a quiet excitement for the days ahead. Challenges would come, she knew that. Titan was unpredictable, and human life was never easy. But with her skills, determination, and perhaps a new partnership with Tyler, she felt ready for whatever the frontier could throw at her. And somewhere in the back of her mind, she sensed that this world, harsh as it was, held surprises she had yet to discover. The morning sun rose slowly over Titan, casting long shadows across the frozen plains. Dome 7 glowed softly in the pale light, and Lena Marquez stretched as she prepared for another day of work. The previous days had gone smoothly, filled with exploration, small repairs, and walks with Tyler Kane. She felt more confident now. She knew her tools, the paths, and even a few shortcuts between domes. Yet, she couldn't shake a small feeling of anticipation. Something about the wind had changed overnight. A subtle shift in the air currents, a soft vibration beneath the ice. Lena noticed it as soon as she stepped outside. She paused, adjusting her suit, watching the distant ice cliffs. Something was different today. "Good morning, Lena," Tyler's voice called from the ridge nearby. He was already inspecting a series of solar panels that shimmered like mirrors in the light. "Ready for another day of frontier fun?" Lena smiled, walking toward him. "I'm ready. But did you feel that?" Tyler looked around, scanning the horizon. Yeah, something feels off." "Could just be the wind. Titan likes to surprise people." He shrugged, but his tone carried the faintest edge of caution. Tyler had a way of noticing things others missed. Lena trusted his instincts. They began their daily rounds, inspecting the colony's energy systems. Solar panels, generators, and atmospheric regulators all required careful monitoring. Lena moved with purpose, noting slight inefficiencies and making minor adjustments. Tyler followed, offering small tips and sharing stories of how he had improvised solutions in the past. "You see," he said as they worked, "Titan doesn't forgive mistakes, but humans, we find a way, always." Lena nodded, smiling. Tyler's confidence was infectious. She liked that he didn't just point out problems, he showed how to solve them. His practical knowledge combined with her engineering skills made them a strong team. Around mid-morning, the settlement sensors picked up something unusual. A series of readings blinked on the central monitor in Dome 1. Lena and Tyler rushed inside, following a small crowd of settlers who had gathered. "Looks like an atmospheric fluctuation," Tyler said, studying the data. "But it's stronger than usual. Could affect the air purification systems in the eastern domes." Lena leaned over the console, analyzing the numbers. If this fluctuation continues, it could lower oxygen levels slightly. Not enough to be dangerous immediately, but we should act fast. The residents there may feel discomfort or fatigue if we don't stabilize it. Tyler nodded. "Let's split up. You take Dome 5 and 6. I'll handle Dome 4 and the generator systems nearby. We'll use the portable stabilizers as a temporary measure until we can adjust the main regulators." Lena grabbed her tools and the portable stabilizer pack. Her heart raced not from fear but from excitement. She loved challenges, and this one, small though it might seem, was a chance to make a real difference. The path to Dome 5 was slippery, and Lena moved carefully, taking advantage of small handrails and grips along the way. The colony was designed for survival, but it wasn't easy. Titan demanded attention at every step. Small mistakes could slow progress. She reached Dome 5 and began checking the air filtration system, opening panels, inspecting circuits, and adjusting settings. Tyler moved swiftly along his path, securing the generators and ensuring the stabilizers functioned. Even from a distance, Lena could hear the soft hum of his equipment working perfectly. He wasn't just strong, he was precise, careful, and clever, someone who could think on his feet and adapt to unexpected conditions. Inside Dome 5, Lena noticed a small issue with one of the stabilizers. It was not responding properly to the atmospheric sensors. She paused, taking a deep breath. Titan was unpredictable, but humans were adaptable. She adjusted the wiring, recalibrated the sensors, and reactivated the stabilizer. The system hummed smoothly. A message came through the intercom. Tyler's voice. "Lena, how's it going?" "Stabilizer is working," Lena replied. "I'll move to Dome 6 next. How about you?" "All good here. Temporary measures holding. Keep it up, engineer." Lena felt a small smile tug at her lips. Tyler's trust in her made her feel capable, even on a world as strange and unforgiving as Titan. As she moved toward Dome 6, the wind picked up. Small ice particles swirled around her, catching the sunlight like tiny diamonds. Lena's suit protected her, but she felt the thrill of the frontier. Each gust, each crunch of ice under her boots reminded her that humans could survive anywhere if they worked together and stayed clever. Dome 6 was larger, housing more settlers. Lena entered and immediately began checking the air regulation system. She noticed that a valve was slightly misaligned, probably due to the slight atmospheric shifts overnight. She adjusted it carefully, testing the flow. The system responded perfectly. "Good," she murmured to herself. "That should hold." Suddenly, a soft chime echoed from the intercom. Tyler's voice again. "Lena, Dome 6 is stable, but we have another reading, Eastern Cliffs. Some ice shifts might affect the power lines. Could get tricky." Lena glanced outside the window. The eastern cliffs glowed under the sunlight, and she could see small movements in the ice formations. Titan was alive, always moving, and human ingenuity had to respond. She packed up her tools and headed toward the power lines, knowing Tyler would meet her there. When she arrived, Tyler was already assessing the situation. "See those lines," he said, pointing to the thin wires running along the cliff. "If ice shifts hit them, the colony could lose power to half the domes. We need to secure them temporarily until we can reinforce the supports." Lena studied the setup. She noted the angles, the tension, and the weak points. "We could use the support rods and tie them to the cliffs with anchors," she suggested. "Temporary, but should hold until we reinforce permanently." Tyler grinned. "Exactly what I was thinking. Let's do it." Working side by side, Lena and Tyler moved with precision. Lena measured, adjusted, and guided the anchors into place, while Tyler secured the rods and checked the tension. Settlers nearby offered assistance, carrying tools, connecting lines, and following their instructions carefully. It took hours of careful work, sweat under their suits, and constant coordination. Yet, step by step, they stabilized the power lines. Lena felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. This was more than fixing machines. It was protecting human lives, ensuring the survival of the settlement. Finally, Tyler leaned back and wiped a small streak of ice from his visor. "Looks solid," he said. "Couldn't have done it better myself." Lena smiled, a little breathless from effort and excitement. "We make a good team," she said. "You're right," Tyler agreed. "Humans thrive because we don't give up, we adapt, we solve problems, and we don't let the world stop us, even Titan." For the first time, Lena felt a deeper connection, not just to Tyler but to the settlers around them. This colony was small, isolated, and fragile, but the people here worked together, innovated, and thrived against impossible odds. That was what humans did. As the sun dipped lower behind the cliffs, casting long shadows across the icy landscape, Lena and Tyler surveyed their work. Dome 5 and 6 were stable. The power lines were secure. The air systems hummed perfectly. The colony was safe for now. "Not bad for a first real challenge," Tyler said, breaking the comfortable silence. "Not bad at all," Lena replied, smiling. She felt the thrill of accomplishment, the joy of being useful, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that humans could face anything if they worked together. Walking back to the hub, Lena felt lighter, stronger, more confident. Titan was unpredictable, yes, but the frontier had always been a place for those willing to think, adapt, and act. And she was ready. Later, as the settlers gathered for dinner, Lena shared her observations with the others. Ideas flowed. Laughter echoed, and stories of past triumphs reminded everyone that human ingenuity, courage, and determination were the colony's greatest strengths. Tyler joined her at the table, his presence calm and reassuring. They exchanged small smiles, a silent acknowledgement of teamwork, respect, and perhaps the start of a deeper bond. The night on Titan was quiet, peaceful, yet filled with possibility. Lena Marquez looked out over the settlement, feeling part of something greater. She was no longer just a Maylorder bride. She was a terraform engineer, a problem solver, and a human thriving on the edge of the solar system. And in the back of her mind, she knew challenges would come, unpredictable, testing, thrilling. But she also knew that humans working together could overcome anything. Titan's clouds hung lower than usual, thick and slow, turning the light dim and heavy. Lena Marquez noticed it the moment she stepped outside Dome 7. The air felt thicker. The wind moved differently, as if the moon itself was holding its breath. She paused, adjusting her gloves. Something was coming. Inside the main hub, screens flickered with data. Engineers whispered to each other. Droids moved faster than normal, carrying tools and spare parts. The settlement was calm but alert. Tyler Kane stood near the central table, arms crossed, eyes fixed on a wide projection of Titan's surface. "You feel it too?" he asked when Lena joined him. "Yes," Lena replied. "The atmospheric pressure is changing, slowly but steadily." Another engineer spoke up. "If this continues, it won't damage anything directly, but long-term stress on the domes could cause alignment problems. Doors, connectors, seals." Lena leaned closer to the display. "We don't need to panic," she said calmly, "but we do need to prepare. Titan doesn't break things fast, it breaks them quietly." The room went still. People listened. Tyler noticed. Others did too. She wasn't just helping anymore. She was leading. Over the next few hours, Lena organized inspection teams. Not because she demanded it, but because people trusted her thinking. She explained every step in simple terms, making sure everyone understood why they were doing each task. Humans worked best when they understood the problem. Tyler moved beside her the whole time, carrying tools, checking supports, offering quiet advice when needed, never interrupting, never questioning her authority. At one point, a visiting official from a nearby trade route approached Tyler quietly. "So," the man said, glancing at Lena, "is she the one from the bride program?" Tyler's jaw tightened. "She's an engineer," he said evenly, "and she's keeping this colony running." The man raised his hands lightly. "No offense meant." Tyler stepped closer, not threatening, just firm. "Then don't reduce her." The message was clear. Later that day, Lena stood near the eastern ridge again, reviewing the support lines they had reinforced earlier. Tyler joined her, handing her a data pad. "You're doing well," he said. Lena smiled faintly. "I'm just solving problems." Tyler shook his head. "No, you're giving people confidence. That matters more than machines." She looked out over the domes, their lights glowing warmly against the cold surface. "I didn't come here to be someone's solution," she said softly. "I came to be my own." Tyler nodded. "And you are." The pressure changes reached their peak 2 days later. No alarms, no chaos, just slow strain. Doors became harder to open. A few connectors shifted out of alignment. Power flow required constant adjustment, and humans adapted. Lena proposed a rotating stabilization schedule, small, constant corrections instead of one big fix. Tyler helped implement it across the colony, teaching others how to feel the changes instead of just reading them. "Machines tell you numbers," he said, "but Titan talks too. You just have to listen." The system worked. The colony stayed stable. On the third evening, the settlement gathered in the main hub. Not for a crisis, but for relief. People talked, shared meals, laughed. Lena stood slightly apart, watching the scene quietly. Tyler walked up beside her. "You know," he said, "people talk." She raised an eyebrow. "That's rarely good news," he smiled. "They say you changed the way this place thinks." Lena looked surprised. I just suggested improvements. Tyler turned to face her fully. No, he said. You reminded everyone that humans don't survive by being tough alone. We survive by being smart together. Before she could respond, a small argument broke out nearby. Not angry, just confused. A transport coordinator was insisting Lena be reassigned under official authority due to her arrival status. She's not even a registered long-term resident yet, the coordinator said. Her contract, Tyler stepped forward. That got everyone's attention. She stays, he said calmly. The coordinator frowned. That's not your decision. Tyler didn't raise his voice, didn't move closer. But his words carried weight. She's chosen this colony, and this colony has chosen her. Silence filled the hub. Tyler looked at Lena, not possessive, not demanding, but certain. She's mine, he said, not as property, as responsibility, as partnership, as someone I stand with. Lena's breath caught. No one argued, because no one misunderstood him. Later, as the colony lights dimmed for rest cycle, Lena and Tyler walked along the quiet ridge. You didn't have to say that, Lena said softly. Tyler stopped. Yes, I did. She turned to him. Why? Because people need to know you're not alone, he replied, and because I won't let anyone define you by paperwork. Lena looked at the horizon, emotions steady but deep. I don't belong to anyone, she said. Tyler nodded. I know. That's why I chose my words carefully. They stood together, watching Titan's clouds drift slowly overhead. No rush, no pressure, just trust. The colony slept peacefully that night, stable, strong, human. And Lena Marquez knew one thing clearly now: she hadn't just arrived at the frontier. She had claimed her place in it. The first light of Titan's sun crept slowly across the icy plains, touching the domes of New Horizon Outpost with a pale glow. Lena Marquez stood on the ridge, her boots crunching softly on the frost-hardened ice. She breathed in the cold, crisp air, feeling it fill her lungs and sharpen her senses. The colony was quiet, yet alive. Droids hummed along the pathways, carrying small supplies. Settlers moved efficiently through the domes, checking instruments, repairing minor faults, and tending to the small gardens that provided food and oxygen. Every movement was deliberate. Every action mattered. Every human here had learned how to survive and thrive on a world that should not support life. Lena felt a quiet pride in the work she had done. Her adjustments to the air regulators, stabilizers, and power lines had kept the colony running during the recent pressure fluctuations. But it wasn't just her effort. It was everyone's. Humans, she realized, worked best together, combining skill, ingenuity, and determination to overcome the challenges of Titan. That, she knew, was the true strength of humanity. Tyler Kane appeared beside her without a sound, as though he had been watching her from the shadows. He handed her a small cup of nutrient drink, steaming slightly in the cold air. Thought you might want this before the morning inspections, he said, offering the cup with a faint smile. Thanks, Lena said softly. She accepted it, her fingers brushing his briefly. The contact was simple, casual, but carried warmth, trust, and something deeper she wasn't ready to name. Tyler's eyes scanned the horizon. Looks calm, he said, but I have a feeling Titan isn't done testing us. Lena chuckled lightly. It never really is it? He shook his head. Nope, but humans, we always find a way. For the next few hours, Lena and Tyler moved through the colony, checking systems together. Their teamwork had become seamless. Lena would notice a minor imbalance in a regulator. Tyler would suggest a quick fix or an adjustment. Settlers watched them with a mix of admiration and curiosity. These two were not just skilled, they were leaders. By mid-morning, a small group of settlers gathered near the central hub, carrying trays of tools, notes, and measurements. Lena recognized their intent immediately. They had organized a plan to optimize energy distribution throughout the settlement, based on her and Tyler's earlier suggestions. Lena, one of the engineers said, smiling, we followed your recommendation and ran simulations overnight. We think we can improve efficiency by another 12%. Lena's eyes widened slightly. That's impressive. You did this without my direct supervision. Your methods inspired us, the engineer said. You showed us it was possible. Now we're doing it together. Tyler placed a hand on Lena's shoulder, giving a small, supportive squeeze. See, humans aren't just survivors, he said. They're innovators. The day passed in a flurry of activity. Lena moved from dome to dome, adjusting air systems, checking power grids, and offering guidance. Tyler moved alongside her, assisting and quietly teaching settlers how to anticipate Titan's quirks. By late afternoon, the colony hummed with efficiency. Every dome had stable air, secure power, and confident settlers ready to handle whatever came next. As the sun dipped low, Lena paused on a ridge overlooking the entire settlement. Lights glowed warmly in the domes, droids moved along pathways, and the icy cliffs reflected the last rays of the sun like molten copper. It was a strange, beautiful world. Harsh, cold, and alien. Yet humans had carved a place here. They had turned impossible into achievable. Tyler appeared silently beside her, following her gaze. You did good today, he said simply. No, Lena replied, shaking her head gently. We did good, the colony did good, Tyler smiled. Still, you guided it. You showed everyone what humans can do when they believe in themselves. Lena looked at him, feeling the warmth of his words, the comfort of his presence. I never wanted to be just someone's bride, she said softly. I came here to make a difference. I wanted to contribute, to prove myself. Tyler nodded slowly, his expression serious but gentle. And you did. You proved yourself, not just to me, not just to the colony, to yourself. They stood in silence, letting the wind and light carry the moment. Tyler finally spoke again, his voice firm but kind. You know, he said, I said it before and I'll say it again, you're mine. Lena turned to him, startled. Her mind raced. She remembered the words from before, but now they felt different, not possessive, not restrictive. They carried respect, trust, and partnership. Tyler wasn't claiming ownership. He was staking his loyalty, showing he would stand with her no matter what. I know, she said, her voice soft but steady. And I choose to stand with you too. A faint smile appeared on Tyler's face. Good, that's all I needed to hear. As night fell over Titan, the colony lit up like a constellation scattered across the ice. Settlers returned to their domes, droids settled into quiet routines, and the wind sang softly across the cliffs. Lena and Tyler walked back together, side by side. When they reached the main hub, a small group of settlers approached them. We've finalized a schedule for regular inspections, one said. Based on your suggestions, Lena and Tyler, your training sessions for handling Titan's quirks were included. Lena nodded. Excellent. That will keep the colony safe and everyone prepared. Tyler added, and remember, Titan changes. We adjust, we don't fear it. Settlers nodded, inspired and confident. They were humans at their best, clever, brave, and adaptive. Lena felt a deep pride. This was what she had come for. Not just survival, but thriving as humans together. Later, Lena returned to her quarters to review notes for tomorrow. She glanced out the small viewport, watching the lights of the colony twinkle across the ice. She thought about her journey, the shuttle ride, the landing, her first meeting with Tyler, the challenges of the pressure shifts. Every step had tested her, taught her, and made her stronger. She realized something. Being a mail-order bride had never defined her. Her skills, choices, and courage had. She was no longer a newcomer. She was part of this frontier, a human shaping life on Titan. A soft knock on her door broke her thoughts. Tyler stepped inside, carrying a small tray of nutrient drinks. He placed it on her desk. Thought you might need a break, he said, smiling. Lena looked at him. You've been here all day, don't you need rest too? Tyler shrugged. Some things are worth staying awake for, helping the colony, helping humans survive. And he hesitated, then added, being here with you. Lena's heart warmed. I'm glad you are. They sat together for a while, drinking quietly, watching the lights of New Horizon outpost shimmer in the distance. Words weren't needed. The bond between them had grown stronger with each challenge, each small victory. Trust, respect, and partnership formed the foundation of something lasting. The next morning, the colony held a small gathering, not a celebration of wealth or conquest, but of perseverance. Settlers shared stories of how they had adapted to Titan's quirks, highlighting teamwork and ingenuity. Lena listened, proud but humble. Tyler stood beside her, a steady presence, smiling as settlers praised her contributions. At the end of the gathering, Lena addressed the crowd. "Titan is harsh," she said simply. "It will test us every day, but we are humans. We adapt, we think, we care for each other. This colony is proof of that. Together we can thrive anywhere. This is our home. And this is what humans do best." A cheer rose from the settlers, not loud or wild, but strong, confident, and full of pride. Tyler squeezed her hand, smiling. "You said it perfectly," he whispered. Lena looked across the colony, feeling the warmth of shared achievement. "We did it," she said softly, "all of us." Tyler's voice was steady and full of certainty. "And we'll keep doing it together." As the sun rose over Titan's icy plains, Lena and Tyler stood side by side, overlooking the settlement. The domes glowed warmly. Droids hummed along the pathways. Settlers moved with purpose, confident and alive. Humans had not only survived, they had thrived. Lena realized that this was the life she wanted, the future she could shape. Not defined by contracts, not constrained by rules, but free, capable, and human. Tyler leaned close, his voice quiet but unwavering. "You're mine," he said again. Lena smiled, her heart steady. "And I'm yours, not as a possession, but as a partner. Together we'll face whatever comes next." Titan's winds blew softly, carrying the promise of challenges, discoveries, and life on the frontier. But Lena Marquez, Tyler Kane, and the settlers of New Horizon Outpost were ready. Humans could thrive anywhere, and they had.